Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity hosts Steve O and Rene. Sit back each week while Steve O and Rene educate you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve O and Rene with today's expert in their field.
Good afternoon and welcome to Ask the Experts, where we bring in some of South Florida's finest experts in the areas of health, legal, financial, and home improvement. My name is Steve O, and let me introduce you to my favorite co-host in the world.
Your only co-host.
You weren't supposed to say that.
What's happening, Steve
My
O?
beautiful co-host, Rene.
Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful today. Today's Friday, TGIF.
Yes.
Rene and I have been hosting this radio we've been hosting radio shows for 2 years. We'll be starting 3 years.
I can't even believe it.
I know. If you would like to ask our guest, did I say that? Guest?
I love when you
That was
flub.
playing, folks. It was in the writing. Anyway, you can call us here at 888-565-1470. And if you would like to watch our show right now, live, go to www.wwnnradio.com. Right there on the home page, you will find on the left-hand side the WNN TV link.
Just click on there and voila, there we are. So let's introduce our first guest, Jack and Gloria Weiss, owners of Weiss Memorial Chapel. Welcome, guys.
Hi, thank you for having us.
I love the way he talks.
It's one of the finest funeral homes in South Florida. That's what I have to say about that. And we are going to talk about pre-needs a lot today because it's so important.
Yeah, you know what? People don't think about funeral arrangements till it's time.
Right.
And that's not the way to do this, right, Jack?
Well, that's correct. And basically what's happened is that most of us, especially the New York area and New Jersey and Connecticut, were brought up in an area where everybody knew everybody. You walked out at the door, you saw your neighbor, you belonged to an organization, whether it was the Knights of Pythias, the Masons.
That was many years ago. It's not like that
I
anymore.
love
Right.
Jack uses those big words, too.
Right,
Just saying, it's not
right.
like that.
And what's happened is that was great where you came from, because all you did was make a phone call. You had an agreement with them. You relied on them. Now we're in Florida. And what happens in Florida? Nobody knows anybody. Nobody has any proof that the person is reliable, and they have to make phone calls because Uncle Harry is not there to tell them what to do. Or Aunt Sadie, I don't mean to be chauvinist. And what has happened down here is people have a death, they go for the phone book, they call somebody up, and before you know it, they could be spending thousands of dollars that they really don't need to.
Is it less expensive pre-planning?
Pre-planning can be less expensive, but the most important part of this is that you know exactly what you're going to do. You would not go in to one of the automobile agencies and say, I'm here, I want to buy that car, and the guy says it's $5,000, it's $30,000.
Right, you shop around.
Yeah, you don't say to them, well, here's the check, and out you go. You don't go into, and I don't want to use certain department stores' names or anything, but you don't go into the department store and take their first price. You may compare it to one of the other places. Unfortunately,
but you know most people don't want to shop around for that because it's a sad thing to have to
it's a sad
to deal
thing,
with.
but you should be aware
You should shop around, though.
that you should know beforehand. Thankfully, I've built up a great relationship with families over the last close to 20 years that I'm down here in Florida opening Weiss Memorial Chapel. Before that, for the last 10 or 15 years before, I attended very many meetings and organizations, and I belonged to some of the healthcare organizations where they have grown to trust my opinion. And I know this is taking a little bit more than what you wanted to get, but
the difference is, though, when someone's dealing with bereavement, which it's got to be so stressful, who wants to have to worry about all this?
That's right. Anybody that has money doesn't have to spend. it's in the bank, it's in stocks, it's in bonds. So if you don't know what you're doing, and then you walk into a place and the guy says it's $10,000 or $15,000 or 5 cents, it really doesn't matter. Most families and most people are not prepared because that money is not there. In the case of any emergency, in our case, we had a water problem. The pipe broke. Did we have the money to take care of that? No, you had to take from the left pocket to put in the right pocket. So you have to be prepared. So pre-planning saves a family money. It also puts them in the position that they know what they're doing. And 3, if they're smart, they tell their children what they did so that if something does happen, which is usually an emergency situation, the children are prepared.
You know, I read somewhere, and I was going to talk about this later in the show, but when someone passes, there are 70 different things you have to do when you're planning for a funeral. In other words, I guess what they were saying is when you're all of a sudden someone passes, you weren't expecting, you've never done any planning, there are so many steps involved for someone who's never, for the layman, I've never had a plan for a funeral. There's so many things you've got to do. It's not walking in and signing your name. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know about the 70 steps part, but there is a lot. Number 1, are you prepared that you have cemetery property? Are you prepared if you're going to have a cremation? What are you going to do afterward? Are you prepared to get the family to come down here? Are you prepared to tell the hospital or hospice that's the funeral home that you want? Do you know that there's certain things with Social Security you need to know about? If you're a veteran, which I know we'll talk about a little later, are you a veteran? Do you have the discharge papers? Do you know what to do if you don't have the discharge papers? That's what we're here for.
Right there. There's 12 of my 70 right
I don't
there.
think there's 70 though. We
Well,
should read that. Is it
What they
really?
were saying, that there's so
Because
many
that's a
things.
lot.
Right,
No, there are a lot of steps.
There are a
though.
lot of steps. Do you have an attorney? Have you taken your
And why would you
assets?
need an attorney?
Number
For
1 is
estate
what are you going to
planning?
do for estate planning?
Right.
And if you've had attorneys here, you know how important that is. Maybe if you don't have this, and all of a sudden somebody comes forward and says, I want to plan the funeral, and that's not the person you want.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Not every family is like on television where they get along, they get up in the morning, they say we're going to go out
They're not.
shopping, we'll be home at dinner at 6 o'clock. Every family has a
I can see
situation.
that. Where 10 family members come in, you're trying to plan, and everybody likes the idea. One person doesn't. That just screws everything up then.
Right, and that's,
So
again,
that eliminates the problems if you pre-plan.
if you pre-plan it and everything is in writing, this is one of the few steps in life that most people don't do. They know they're going to buy a house. They know they're going to do this. They know they're going to do that. They put aside a funeral plan. And I understand this. This is a very sensible thing. Nobody wants to think about the time that they're going to die or
Right.
pass on.
So at what age do you do that?
So you can do it at any age. It used to
Typically.
be that people would wait until their 60s or 70s. Now people do it in their 40s or 50s. Yeah.
I'm still in my 30s. I'm not ready.
I mean, if you look at it like you're going to purchase something,
Don't
if
laugh
you,
at that.
there are families that dealt with me 5 years ago, and I sent them a price quote. Now, 5 years, the price has doubled.
I'm sure.
And of course, the old story is I should have taken it back
Yes,
then.
there's inflation.
I hope I say this right. I don't want to embarrass you, but I spent some time with both of you, and we've spent a lot of time over the last couple months. Because it's so stressful, I feel so comfortable with both of you. That's what I think is really
I think that's
important,
a big factor.
is that the funeral director, you've got to feel comfortable with them. And I'm sure that's not like that everywhere you go.
Well, thank you. I said to somebody, they said, how could you do this? And, I happen to have known the person. I said, my value to you is that I can sit calmly, regardless of what's inside me, and talk to you. It's no use for both of us to be hysterical
It's
and
gotta
not
be tough,
thinking.
though.
So somebody has to be
Well,
in
you have to
control.
be the calming factor.
They are. Both of them are so
Yes.
calming. It's the first thing I noticed when I came over to the funeral home was, God, you guys are just so together. You're just like nothing's ever going to. I mean, I'm sure it bothers you every time, but you know what I'm saying. You've just got this calming factor that if I'm going to go choose a funeral home, that's what I want to be calmed down.
Okay, so should I take down? Should I take some notes? Should I talk to them after the show?
No, that's God
I'm going to do pre-planning.
You know what happens is that in most positions in life, as a person gets older in his business, many times it's time for them to retire. With our business, the older you are, it's like fine wine.
Yes.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, when you don't have the experience. And you remember when you first went into this business and the first time you had to do this, you had to reach for answers. Now you do things so nicely that when you ask a question, or I answer a question, or I meet with a family, I can look back and bring up an example to help the family out.
Years
That's
of
the whole thing.
experience also.
It takes years. It takes time. And I'm very, very fortunate that I'm a third generation, and my grandfather and father were in the business. So you have a mentor. You have somebody to guide you. And I think every profession needs a mentor to start you off.
Yes.
I totally agree. And we're actually going to talk about some of the things you've seen over the years when it comes to pre-need, the people who didn't plan, because that's what today's show is all about, is how important it is to pre-plan.
So tell us a little bit about Weiss Funeral Chapel.
My grandfather came over about the 1800s or so, and I guess in those days I figure we were trying to figure at the time he was probably 20 some odd years old, and in those days he was like a custom peddler, and he was in charge of what they call a hever kadisha. Those of the Jewish background will understand that was a burial society.
See how he's looking at me?
And in time, well, he would lie. He was Hungarian. He liked blondes and red-headed Hungarian. So in Yonkers at that point in time, there was only 2 funeral homes, and there was a little bit of difficulty with taking care of the Jewish families because they require some extra things that had to be done. So he opened up a building, a small building in those days, and then later on, after my father came in and his brother, they opened up a bigger building and everything, and that's how Weiss Memorial got started, to serve a community, which I think most of the funeral homes, whether they were brought out, sold, merged, started that way. They started out with somebody helping with other people, and some grew very big because they were in Manhattan or Bronx and there was a big Jewish population or Irish population, or it doesn't really matter. That's how most funerals home were. They were family oriented, where everybody knew each other in the neighborhood.
Right, and you cater to all religions.
I cater to all religions for several reasons. One, everybody is the same.
Yes, I agree.
I happen to be of Jewish faith, and I know what to do to help families. But how can you turn somebody down that is from somebody else's religion, Catholic or Protestant or whatever, and they say to you, I heard your prices were fair. Can you service my family? You can't say that to somebody. You can't say, well, I only serve one type of individual. That's
right.
wrong.
You
That's
want to
wrong.
look at yourself anyway.
So I know what's so great is you have great prices. You said fair prices.
Yes.
You have great prices.
So tell everybody where you're located.
All right, we're located in Boynton Beach, on Boynton Beach Boulevard, about a half a mile east of 95.
So easy to find.
Very easy
Right
to
off
find.
95.
We're in the process, in the next month or so, we'll have about a 60-car parking lot behind us. And the building accommodates roughly 150 to 175 people, and it's very nice. And if you ever want to take a look or see what it is to make yourself comfortable, coming over and seeing me, you can do that. There's no obligation or anything.
But I thought you make all your clients comfortable, though.
We do.
What are you laughing about, Renee?
I'm smiling.
Okay.
So guide us through the process, the funeral process of
All right.
making these arrangements.
All right. What happens is, let's go for we're talking pre-arrangement, just to make sure. All right. What happens is that people would give us a phone call. If they're shy about coming in and are not sure about making a decision, maybe they feel there might be too much pressure, they can call me on the phone. I'll be only too glad to take their name and address and send them a proposal. I very rarely, I do not have anybody working for me that's a pressure
No house
tactic.
calls.
No no calls. Nobody will call up and say, I haven't
I'm saying you
heard
don't
from
go to
them.
anybody's houses to talk to them.
We do go to their house and
Oh, you
talk to them.
do?
Absolutely. But I will not call back and say, well, are you going to make a decision? The price is going to change, or things like that. This is not supposed to be a harassment. I only want to deal with families and people that want to come to me, that have confidence in what I'm going to tell them. If they check around, they will see that my prices are affordable and less. In some cases, it's $1,000 or more less, depending on what you
Wow.
want.
That's a big discount.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, of course, if you're extremely well off and wealthy, $1,000 doesn't mean a thing. You know, and I'm sure that a lot of people will say that that's not the case. But that step comes first. First step is the getting together, the contact. I question them on what they want. So what that means is I don't come in and say, all right, here's the book, this is $3,000, this is $2,000. Not everybody wants the same thing.
Right.
People are different. People have different thoughts. I don't want the children to come down. No, I want the children to come down. I want to be buried in the veterans. I'm very religious. All these items have to be taken advantage
want
of
to be
before.
involved. Mausoleum.
Let's leave it right there for a second. Let's go to break, and
Okay.
we'll pick up on the other side.
Perfect.
Weiss Memorial Chapel has been serving Palm Beach County for more than 40 years. Weiss Memorial Chapel combines a kind, caring atmosphere with the finest service and experience. Weiss Memorial Funeral Home is located in Boynton Beach, Florida, and is independently owned and operated. They are dedicated to serving all of their families and honoring their needs. They are a full-service, independently owned funeral chapel. Weiss Memorial Chapel's concept is to have one low price for everyone, and to have one low price for at-need and pre-need funerals. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer your questions with knowledge and caring. They are committed to providing funeral and cremation services with the highest level of care, compassion, and professionalism to the Palm Beach area. They are proud to offer chapel services in their beautiful 150-occupy setting in Boynton Beach, or provide services at any cemetery. Weiss Memorial Chapel, located at 202 East Boynton Beach Boulevard in Boynton Beach. Why pay more when the finest in service will cost you less? Call them at 561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001.
And we're back with Weiss Memorial Chapel. So tell us the difference in dealing with a family-owned funeral home versus the big companies.
The big mockers.
Yes.
All right, as one person said years ago, you're not dealing with Mr. Blank, name of the owner, you're dealing with a conglomerate, you're dealing with a corporation. When you walk in there, and there are some very nice people that you will meet with, but they are strictly hired to follow company policy, which means that unless it's something really extraordinary, they have to quote you the price, and that's what it is. The prices are pre-printed. Their quotes are from either one of the out of state or in the capital of this state or wherever
From the
main
corporate office.
from the corporate office. They have to make a phone call. Not that they won't treat the family fairly, or not that they won't try to do the best they can, but they have nothing to say. They have to follow policy, and if there's something extra, they have to make a phone call, which may have to be bucked up to the second level or the first level before they can come back with a decision.
And you're the first level.
I'm the first level and the only level.
Right, exactly.
First off, when they walk in, as we said previously, the prices are very fair and affordable. So I am less costly than anybody else to start off with.
Overhead's less.
My overhead is less. I planned it purposely that way. The days of having a funeral home that's $8 or $10 million is over with. Yes, there are some very nice places. A lot of them have done away with some of the chapels. A lot of them have taken pews out of the chapel. A lot of them have gone into the catering business. The majority of services are graveside services or at a temple. Yes, there are some services in the chapel. A lot of the conglomerates are concentrating on post-funeral service, meaning they want to have a catering place. So they're more interested and they feel they can make more money having people come back because a lot of people are out of town now.
Right.
And they don't have a place to go. So that's...
Well, they're trying to make more money doing that.
They're trying to make more money. As you said it, which is correct, people don't want to use the chapel for services. So how do you make up for that building that cost them a lot of money? You think of other things, which is fine. It's good business. Everybody should be able...
Listen, if it makes it easier for the families, that's fine.
That's fine. But in the wrong one, they're making more, it's more costly to them.
Right, exactly.
My job is to tell them, there's a catering place down the street. This Rose's Restaurant, they'll have a room there set aside for you. It'll be X amount of dollars for people. Now, if they want to come into my chapel and have a collation, they can do it. I have things set up for them that we can put tables up and they can have it. We are a full-service company, but we answer to nobody other than ourselves and the law.
It's the same thing with you've got a great selection. Sounds weird, great selection of caskets, but you do though.
Yes.
I mean, I saw the room where all the caskets
You saw
were.
all the caskets?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Did you pick anything out?
He wanted to lay down in one of them. He said that he wanted to see how comfortable it was,
saw
but
Louis
Steve
Vuitton.
said,
And listen, you didn't close the top?
and I didn't close the top on. I wouldn't do that.
But are your prices better also
Yes.
on caskets also?
Yeah, the markup or what we charge a family is less than what a lot of places are. May not be thousands of dollars less, but it is less. And then on top of that, if a person is a veteran, they receive a discount off of our charges.
Which is what? Tell
Which
everybody.
right now, if somebody calls us and tells us that
Give
they're
me
a
your phone
veteran,
number.
it's 561-737-0001. 561-737-0001. All they have to do is say they're a veteran, and we'll talk a little later about that, and they will automatically receive a discount off of both my services and the casket
That's very
selected.
nice. That's
That
wonderful.
is. Tell us about, I mean, we just got so much in such a short amount of time. Tell us about veterans, burial of veterans.
We were talking about what people need to do. With a veteran, they are, both the husband and wife are entitled to a grave at the Veterans Cemetery. All they need is a copy of their discharge papers.
There's a veterans cemetery here?
Yes,
In
there is
Palm Beach, yes.
South Florida Veterans Cemetery. It's on 441, just a little bit south of Montana.
Oh.
And it's your tax dollars at work. It's beautiful. It's, if you can call the cemetery beautiful, it's
I've been
well
there.
maintained.
I've been to a funeral
It's
there.
well maintained, and there will never be a problem. Those of us that are from New York or New Jersey know that when you go to the cemetery to visit your parents or other family members, that it's in bad shape. Or they want like $5,000, which I just had with a family. They were in a state of shock. They wanted $5,000 as an endowment fund for perpetual care. You don't have that here. Everything is taken care of. They provide the stone, they provide the grave, they provide the liner,
Did you know
they
that?
provide the digging of the
Yes.
grave. And in some cases, which we really shouldn't know from, if there is a child that is affected with special aids and has a problem since they were born, there is a place for that child
Wow.
at the
The
cemetery.
government's doing something good.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it happens very rarely, and there has to be special circumstances for that to be proven that they have never worked or something of that effect.
At that particular cemetery?
At South Florida, veterans, if a veteran passes away at the Veterans Administration, they will pay for the transfer from the administration to the chapel, whether it's a nursing home or the hospital, and there's a hospital up in Riviera Beach, which everybody knows it's a veteran, and they will also provide for the hearse transportation to the cemetery. And in many cases, there's additional charges that are paid, but we have no idea what it is, because some people, some veterans had service-connected disabilities, so that part you have to talk to the Veterans Administration. But it is a wonderful thing because the quality of burial here in Florida, that if you need to purchase ground, it's anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. It's a great savings to
Wow.
a family.
It is.
That's amazing. That's, I mean, I
Well,
really-
funerals are a big expense, and that's why it's so important to pre-plan and pay it off before
I mean,
it even
a person
happens.
why would a person not want to pre-plan?
Because they're foolish. They're
Okay.
superstitious. They're scared. However, I have another area in the chapel where I keep my files, and they're called unpaid forms. What happens is you come to me and you say, Jack, I don't want to do this. I'm going to let my children pay for it. If I do this, I know I'm going to pass the next day. Fine. I take all the information, I give the charges to them, and they understand that that charge will not be in effect because they're not pre-planning, and I have everything there. So they tell the children, look, I went down to Weiss, and I have everything there. When I pass,
You get stuck with the bill?
you get stuck with the bill.
Basically.
Or they'll take the money and they'll put it in a bank account. Now, unfortunately, the interest in the banks are not what it used to be.
There's
'Cause
no interest.
There is no interest in the interest. So what happens is that disclaimer, like a lot of people would say, I get more money for my interest in the bank. They've come back to me and they've signed a pre-need with me. Yeah, 5 years or even more if you're really up against it. I cannot spend that money. So what happens is if you can't afford a 20 or 25% down payment, you can give me less. Yeah, 5 years, there's no interest to pay it out.
That's wonderful.
And if you forgot it,
So you work with people.
I work with people because the object of having a business is for people to do business with you. So you don't want people to walk
You don't
away
want-
from you.
Right, you don't want to turn people away.
This is such a better way to do business than the big companies. Because I know about the big companies.
taking
I've
notes for
actually
you. I'm
worked with
taking
the-
notes for
You
you.
are? I'm just saying this is just such a better way to do business.
I'm hoping
for
you're a
something-
veteran.
I'll become one. I was a Cub Scout. Does that count?
No.
I got my Weibo badge. I can't believe how fast the half hour went, but you're going to be here again next month. Next time you come in, I want to talk about, you've probably seen so much when it comes to pre-need, people who didn't plan out. And I bet you've got some stories that it'd be really good to share.
Yeah, one of the stories is that they had to go scratch around to get people to give them $10, $100, $50 to pay for the funeral. And they were very nice about it, and I tried to work with them and accommodate them, but they had to go out and ask family to come up
To
with
chip
money.
in.
To
Yeah.
chip in. And that's not good.
Wow, that's scary. Well, you're going to be back here again next month.
Give your phone number again.
Yes.
561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001.
Now, does your beautiful wife have better rates than you do? Or how does that work?
How Gloria has to be the one not to handle the bills with the family. She's very sympathetic. The business affects her emotionally many times, and if she was doing the business with the family, she would practically give away everything because she feels for them.
Well, listen, thanks for coming on. We're going to see you next month in September. And we're going to go to break right now, and when we come back, we have our family law show with John Elias and Katrina. That'll be interesting. You're looking at me crazy.
I'm just looking at you.
Okay. On the other side, we will have attorneys John Elias and attorney Katrina. I don't have her name in front of me.
Okay, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Weiss Memorial Chapel has been serving Palm Beach County for more than 40 years. Weiss Memorial Chapel combines a kind, caring atmosphere with the finest service and experience. Weiss Memorial Funeral Home is located in Boynton Beach, Florida, and is independently owned and operated. They are dedicated to serving all of their families and honoring their needs. They are a full-service, independently owned funeral chapel. Weiss Memorial Chapel's concept is to have one low price for everyone and to have one low price for at-need and pre-need funerals. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer your questions with knowledge and caring. They are committed to providing funeral and cremation services with the highest level of care, compassion, and professionalism to the Palm Beach area. They are proud to offer chapel services in their beautiful 150-occupy setting in Boynton Beach, or provide services at any cemetery. Weiss Memorial Chapel, located at 202 East Boynton Beach Boulevard in Boynton Beach. Why pay more when the finest in service will cost you less? Call them at 561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001.